Hello and welcome everyone. This is your host Jordan here to share some interesting Super Bowl stories with you. Let us hear from the first user. I went to Super Bowl 40 as I think a 14-year-old. I'm 21 now. Part 1, meeting Howie Long and Michael Strahan. My dad got tickets because at the time he worked with a major corporate company. I got to attend a pre-Super Bowl event with Howie Long and Michael Strahan where they talked about leadership, etc., corporate babble. Coolest thing was, after the speeches, they stuck around to sign footballs and eat from the buffet. So, I got my autographs from them, and as I was sitting with my dad at a table later eating some dinner, they both asked if they could sit with us. Now that I type that, I have the sneaking suspicion that my dad, a pretty outgoing guy, asked them to sit with us while he was up talking to them earlier. You'd be surprised how just asking for something will get it most of the time. Most were too afraid of overstepping to approach and ask them something like that. Anyways, they sit down and I'm just in awe. Strahan was sitting right next to me, Howie Long across from me. My dad's a pretty big guy, so he was joking with them about how he bets he could outlift them. Strahan was wearing one of those tight sweaters and looked cut out of granite. It's difficult to tell just how fit these guys are on TV, all next to each other. But he was an athletic freak. One thing that struck me as we talked to them was how much Howie Long was exactly like he is on TV. Super engaging. Very friendly. Seemed genuinely interested in talking to people. Strahan was engaging too, but much to my 14-year-old surprise, having seen Strahan on TV as a really fun guy, he seemed to be the more passive of the two. Not unfriendly by any means, but not nearly as talkative and not as free with his conversations. Don't mistake what I'm saying though. He was still fun to talk to. He either just seemed tired or the type you have to get into a conversation, that is, not a conversation starter like Howie is. Coolest part? Howie saw me staring at his LA Raiders ring and asked if I wanted to see it. I was still awestruck, so my dad was like, I think that's a yes. So, Howie just hands that sucker right over to me and lets me hold onto it for a good 10 minutes. Wearing it, examining it, etc. At one point, Strahan poked my shoulder and asked if he could see it. To which Howie said, "You want one of those, huh?" And Strahan put on a pouty face and said, "It's so cool." Howie said he'd get his. He did, 2 years later. I wish I remembered more of what was actually said. I more so remember the actual scene and moments. I think I was too struck by the Super Bowl ring and meeting the two football hoofers as a 14-year-old and listening to a lengthy conversation between them. Oh, I remember one other thing. When my dad joked about them being huge, Howie said, half serious, that guys like him and Strahan wake up strong. I think Michael said that he had to work harder for his physique, but Howie said in all seriousness, his family is that big bone type of physique. He didn't necessarily lift a ton of weights. Strahan said he lifted like crazy, which made Howie laugh and said, "Well, thanks for helping my point." Part 2, the actual game. I remember standing in a huge line outside the stadium with a number of measures of security to just get into the stadium. So many Steelers fans. Hardly any Seahawks fans. I remember a lot of picket signs protesting the Super Bowl, abortion, you name it. One Steelers fan yelled out at a particularly disgusting abortion sign, aborted fetus, saying, "Hey fucker. There are kids here." With a kid right near him. I remember laughing because he started cussing the guy out and there were kids right there. The actual game was, in my opinion, about what I expected. Not mind-blowing, probably because I had no stakes in either team. See my flair, but still a fucking blast. The Stones played the halftime show and I thought it was electric. They provided a seat cushion filled with goodies for use during the halftime show, fake lighters, and nice game programs / pins. I remember the Steelers running an end around to Randall L for a touchdown, and the Steelers fans going crazy. The Seahawks fans looked so dejected after that. I remember my dad commenting how I was so into it and yelling and stuff despite not having any teams in there, which we laughed about. All in all, it was awesome. I didn't check out any actual typical fan events, but the game and private event I went to were awesome. I don't recall much craziness after the game was won, but I do remember riding the bus back to the hotel and some drunk woman complaining about how we were all so stupid for liking football/Super Bowl/etc., and one guy telling her to shut the fuck up and get her drunk ass off the bus. Haha. To which she started screeching and such. I am pretty sure that was a Steelers fan who said that to her. Howie Long is awesome. Strahan was a bit different from his personality at the time, outgoing on TV, less so in person, but still a cool dude, just seemed either tired or the type to join in and not start a conversation. Game was awesome. Abortion protesters in the line before the game everywhere. Halftime shows seemed better at the game. This was quite interesting. Let us hear what the other user has to say. I watched the Pats lose to Green Bay in 1997. I was 12 and went with my dad, born outside of Boston, who passed away 3 years later. He got the tickets from his boss, who wasn't able to go, and we flew into Houston and drove to New Orleans because tickets had gotten so expensive to go direct. I have vivid memories of many parts of the pre-game festivities and the game itself. Here are some. The NFL Experience, a fun game room that let you try your hand at all sorts of football skill tests like kicking a field goal or hitting receivers at 10, 20, and 30 yards. Running into the mayor of Green Bay, wearing a Reggie White jersey, near Bourbon Street while wearing my Bledsoe jersey. He got into a three-point stance and made as if to sack me, then invited my dad and I into his party, where lots of drunk adult Green Bay fans teased me. I was fiercely proud of my Patriots. All the food. There was amazing seafood everywhere, and team-themed merchandise incorporating the NO flavor, such as a shirt with Bledsoe, Martin, and Coates cooking jambalaya. At this point, though, I hadn't developed a taste for it and didn't eat any. I just remember being overwhelmed by the amount of food available in the streets, parking lots, etc. We met Marty Moore's wife in a restaurant. I have no idea how we discovered that's who she was, besides that she was wearing his jersey. The sinking feeling when Desmond Howard returned that kick. This is the clearest image I have from the game. The crowd went absolutely nuts. It felt like in that moment everyone was a Packers fan, and for the first time I thought we were going to lose. The horrible sadness when the game ended. I cried and my Pats face paint smudged all over my face. I don't remember how my dad responded. We just quietly left the stadium. Needless to say, the game has strong nostalgic significance for me. That first Patriots Super Bowl in 2001, 4 months after his death, was an absolutely euphoric family experience unlike anything I have ever felt. It felt like they won for us, and I'm not religious, but boy did it feel like he was watching. Let's wind up for today, and we'll meet you guys tomorrow with another interesting stories. If you do like this, please subscribe so that I can keep on doing this.